ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Neighborish livecast. I'm Super Dave, aka Mr. Incredible, and with me, as always, are my team of incredible individuals, starting with our feminine energy, Miss Butter Pecan, Miss Fruit Fit herself, Patrice Jones is with us. What's up, Patrice?
What's up? What's up?
How you doing? How was your weekend?
Weekend was great. Looking forward to a great week. It's a little chilly. I wish it would warm up, but I'm good.
Yeah. Well, the seasons do that from time to time, and our DC's native son, the
Hey,
SC3 representative,
hey,
my man Jason. What's up with you, brother?
hello, Dave.
How are you?
Doing well, brother.
Did you have a good weekend, sir?
I did. Thank you.
That's good. That's good. And we have an amazing show for y'all today because our guest today is a songwriter, an artist, a producer. Well, he just said he retired is from being an artist, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, he's a producer. He has produced tracks for uh, a bunch of industry artists, people like Cassie, Fabulous, Jeremiah, Rhapsody, Big Crit, Kiki Palmer, Raheem Devon, and Kanye West. His unique sound is a part of the driving force behind Sci-Hi the Prince's 2017 release No Dope on Sundays, and he's inspired thousands of his social media followers with his hashtag I Deserve It, a movement chronicling his own fitness journey. Ladies and gentlemen, Grammy nominated producer Mark Byrd is with us today. What's up, brother?
What up, dude? What's happening?
Hey man, it's great to have you here. We got a lot to talk about. We're gonna get into all the stuff I just talked about and a whole bunch more. But first, there's a few things going on in the city, in the country, in the world that we need to talk about, and we're gonna
Oh,
talk about it right now. You missed it, Jay.
what's going on, Dave?
There you go. He usually says that. But anyway, so yeah, we're gonna talk about it right now. I want to start with, as y'all know, the coronavirus is making a huge comeback right now. He's on his comeback tour. You know what I'm saying? He's but seriously, the numbers are getting crazy. The governments here in this area and all over the country are talking about more shutdowns and more measures to try to slow the spread of the virus. We've seen like with a lot of stuff that's been going on lately, a surge of people who are seeing this as a hoax or whatever the case. And we've talked about theories about different things that could be going on, but with that, a lot of people aren't doing the mask wearing. We're seeing a lot of folks who are saying it's not real, things of that nature. Um, I personally take it seriously, even with ideas about where it came from, how it started, things like that. So I wanted to get you guys' opinion. Like, what do you think it'd take to get people to really take this as seriously as it needs to be to try to get a handle on it? Because it's kind of blowing up right now. So, and I'll start with Patrice. We'll start with ladies first. What you think about the?
And what is it going to take to get a handle on it?
Yeah, to get people to kind of take it more seriously.
I think for the most part that people are. I think we just need to be. Well, you don't have a whole idea about it, but from the standpoint of what you just said, I think that um, people are taking it seriously, but it's not. It's so it's so far out of hand that I'm sorry, I just totally lost my thought. It's so far out of hand that it's tough to. People are already programmed to take it seriously. Like people are wearing masks and people are paying attention to the protocols that are in place. But we have the holidays coming up, and so we've never experienced this. Um, you know, a virus within a holiday time, and so a lot of people don't know how to move right now. So you have people's family coming in town, and even though people have lost relatives to the virus, they still want to be around their loved ones. And I don't think that it's that they're not taking it seriously. I think people are trying to find a way to love up on one another because we've been, isolated for many, many months.
Yeah. I think that that's a good a good question in this whole thing. It's tough to try to balance that need for connection and closeness with family, with friends, with people, with the severity of what's going on. So
Right. Can I tell you something real quick so
sure.
you don't think I'm crazy? I lost my thought because I was sitting, I'm at the park and I was sitting down on the
Uh-huh.
ground and I noticed a rat hole. So it
Oh,
like, yeah, it threw me off. So don't think I'm crazy. I got my spittles today. I'm good.
no, no, you're all right. No judgment, no
I
judgment.
lost all my thought
Right, right,
process.
right. Well, I mean, you worried about what's coming up out of that rat hole. I hear you. Nah, it's all
I
good
know,
though.
right? And we are still on the south side.
Right, right, yeah, yeah. Well, it's rats on every side of DC. I take that personal because I'm from the South Side. Don't do South Side like that. But anyway, so yeah, Jay. Like I said, how do you handle trying to balance like staying connected with your family members, with your friends and people, and also taking these guidelines seriously, or do you? How do you feel about it?
I mean, I try to follow the guidelines. Yeah, I mean, I ain't really trying to rock the boat, but it hasn't really prohibited me from, seeing my family or the people that I interact with. I'm just, it's not that real big of a deal to me. I just try to make sure that I'm following the precautions that are recommended, by, quote unquote authorities.
Right.
And I just keep it moving from there. It's not like this big thing on my mind, like, oh, I'm constantly, I'm basically living the same way I've been living, but just with additional precautions.
Understood. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And Mark, I know you do a lot of traveling with your work and everything, so I know that adds an extra level of of difficulty to maneuvering in this new time that we living in. So I guess the same question, like how are you balancing, staying connected with people and still staying safe, keeping
Uh,
everything safe.
man, the only thing that sucks for me is my family not where I am, and
Right.
most of them are in places where, like, if I go, I have a mandatory 14-day quarantine.
Right.
Really can't afford to be away from my work for 2 weeks. I hadn't been to see my people since March.
Wow.
Most of the what for me, it was like when everything happened, everybody was like freaking out. I was cool. I was like, man, I'm an introvert by nature because this did not bother me one bit.
Right.
The only thing that I was worried about was like, cause like the run. Once I figured out a cool way, like getting up either extra early or going to run at night when nobody is really outside, I was straight.
Okay.
Um, and we got FaceTime, we got Zoom. We done did birthday parties on Zoom. You figure out a way. I mean, I do take it serious. I've lost quite a few people this year behind it.
Yeah.
Friends, couple family members. So I definitely take it serious.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I just feel like I have so many thoughts and conspiracies about this whole thing myself.
Oh,
You
you
know,
sound like you about to fit right in with us, man. We be on here talking
Yeah.
about a little bit of everything,
yeah.
So, but yeah, real quick, since you mentioned like the birthdays on Zoom and stuff, I just got to stop real quick because yesterday was my mama's birthday. Shout out to my mama. We did a Zoom party for her. It was pretty dope. Yeah, we had the family connect through Zoom, so they really loved it too. They already talking about we gonna do a Zoom thing for Thanksgiving now. So that's and I know
That's dope.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So she really enjoyed it. Shout out to Mama. So yeah, I know Jay. I know you know a lot of people that had birthdays in November too.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So no, you don't want to shout nobody out. Okay, we'll keep it moving then. I see what
Nah.
you.
He's
it's
like,
so many. It's so many people. I got so many friends with November birthdays, man.
Right.
Like it's strange.
Yeah, yeah. We
But
talked about
I
that
be
before.
telling them they not really special. They just had Valentine's Day. Their parents had Valentine's Day sex. Because it used to be, I'd be like, yo, why do I know so many people with birthdays in November? Then I had to think about like the science behind it. Like, yo, it's not just random. I was like, oh,
Right.
so that's what I came up with.
They just got it in. So Pops ain't had no gifts, so he just,
Right. He's like, hey, I got this gift for you right here.
right. But yeah, man. So I got to talk a little bit about, in the wake of this, extremely tumultuous election season. As you know, Joe Biden was finally officially declared the winner of the election. He got the 306 electoral votes that he needed to, secure that. And we talked about the whole electoral college thing and how that's a little bonkers. But shout out to Kamala Harris. Um, but yeah, so in the wake of all that, there's been this huge, and we've already discussed like this huge sense of division in the country. And this weekend, there was a march in D.C. And they were at first saying it was like a Proud Boys march or like a left wing, but there's all these groups kind of came together as Trump supporters, right? And to get behind this dude and march to try to say that the election was stolen and all this. And we could talk for hours about theories about all this stuff and why things are happening the way they are. But I wanted to speak directly to um, the march, and I'm looking at like footage from it because it happened in D.C. So a lot of our people that we know are out there, are in the middle of it. They posting stuff, they showing stuff, and I'm looking at all this footage. I'm seeing like this black guy on top of a car dancing, waving the Trump flag and stuff, and it's just you know interesting visuals coming from the city that I call home. And one of the things that stood out to me was how much these people are united behind how they've made the idea of Trump, transcend the person and become an idea, and so people started to get behind that idea of this person and he's going to make everything good and all right and all this stuff, and how people really believe that in their souls. And I'm listening to these people do the interviews and talk about it. And I mean, I don't know. You think these people are just lost, or I mean, it's easy to get lost in this whole system because a lot of people are, right? But the driving force behind was uniting all these different folks is this guy that's like, if you're going to support anything, why support like that foolishness? It's craziness. And they say I ramble, and I guess that's kind of what I was doing, but it's just mind-boggling to me that so many people believe so wholeheartedly. Like, I don't even believe in the system. Like, Mark, I saw what you posted about like how you don't really believe in the whole voting system, but you just voted just in case. And that's the exact sentiment. Like, when you said it, I was like, yeah, that's a man. Like, I went and did it just because I might be wrong, but I don't really know. Like, this whole system is kind of crazy. But just like I said, like, so Jay, seeing all the stuff in this city, because I know like you consider yourself DC's native son, right? And all the stuff going down, but you say you ain't really give it any energy, right?
Um, nah, man, but I don't think it's so confusing as you making it. You know, what Trump represents, because I think you were accurate in, like, it's more so an idea now. It's not even the actual person. I don't even really think nobody really rocks with him personally. Um, but I think I think he's the personification of what America is, and I actually think that it was a good, um, I guess it was a good litmus test for the country, because I feel like Trump represents the true America. Like, that's how America really is: a greedy, materialistic, murderous. Oh, that was my favorite two words in the Dave Chappelle Saturday Night Live joint. Murderous whites. Those are my two favorite words in that whole monologue. The murderous whites. Because that's what America is, and that's just the truth.
Yeah,
I think we discussed on here previously how like people like George Zimmerman and Dylan Roof are considered American heroes, and all of the cops that murder black people, they're rewarded, and it's underground, so like the mainstream won't see it. But these cops, when they kill a black person, they get GoFundMe's with millions of dollars, and their families are taken care of, their kids are given college scholarships, and their families are given pensions and everything, because that's the truth of how, not I mean, and not just of how America feels, but how America operates. It's right in plain sight. But we've been so indoctrinated, um, with cognitive dissonance that we don't even acknowledge what's happening right in front of our eyes to us, surrounding us every second, every millisecond of the day. And so I think the support for Trump is a sentiment that I guess previously was a bit more hidden, but since his presidency is come to the forefront. So I don't really see your confusion, Dave, as to why people would support him because I mean that's when you go to work, it's been people that's smiling in your face and like joking with you and going to the, lunchroom and having coffee, but then at home, they live a certain way. So that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's not necessarily confusion. I definitely understand that that element of society exists. And I'm not one of those people. Like I remember, it was a lady on the news talking about. She was surprised to see that that he got the voter turnout that he did, and I share the sentiment with you of like, nah, this is really how people feel. It's always been that way, and I'm surprised when people don't, people are shocked by it. So, yeah, I'm gonna get some thoughts from Mark. What did you think about that? Have you seen any of the footage of like the march and David?
Man, America is such a shit show. I am so far removed from it. Like no exaggerate. I posted this maybe like a couple weeks ago. A couple weeks ago was the very first time I've actually listened to Trump even speak this whole presidency. I've done a job of avoiding it the whole time because I'm just like, it's Trump, bro. Really?
Yeah,
That was who like the choice was.
yeah.
I just tapped out, man. So I haven't seen any footage, but to the sentiment of people supporting Trump, um, I'm definitely not a supporter, but make no mistake about it, he was genius in his marketing. He went and spoke to the people that don't get spoken to.
Same. Yeah.
It's just like it's just like any other faction. Like I look at it like a gang. When you go and you find the young boys that don't have any love or don't get shown anything, and you speak to them kids, they'll do anything for you.
Right.
And that's all Trump went and did. He went to all of the little hick towns of people that probably never voted. We probably didn't even know that these people were there because we never seen anything from him. And he went and spoke to them people, and they felt like he spoke for them, and they came out in record numbers to support him. But like you're saying, it's past him. It's the idea of this is our America. Right. It's just like, and look, I'm not shocked at anything that takes place in this country at all. Like when people be shocked about racism, I'd be shocked at y'all. Like, damn, for real? You really shocked that this is like this is America, bro? They never thought to even see anybody else other than themselves as equal. I mean, they came over here and literally said they discovered some shit that was already inhabited. Like, come on, let's just keep it a buck. Like,
exactly.
This whole shit is no murder, crime, and rape, pillage, and extortion. That shit gonna be here forever.
Yeah. I think I said that last week. That's kind of how it is, how it's been, and probably how it's gonna be. For the foreseeable future at least. So Patrice, did you have any? Did you watch any of the footage? Did you see any of the people moving through the city? And
No, I saw a little bit on Instagram, but I don't really follow any of that. But I will say to both Mark and Jay's point that Trump speaks to the divide in this country that so many people um, either are oblivious to or just kind of have turned a blind eye to it. And I think that is what fuels all of the anarchy that we're seeing right now in the street. And I don't think that it's over. And honestly, I heard you say that Biden had been declared the winner.
mm,
I don't think it's solid. I don't think it is declared. I think he's still the projected winner because the news media is saying so many different things, and this is indicative of other elections that we've seen, but we haven't seen it in a time like this that we're going through, this whole quote unquote quarantine COVID thing, and And the other thing that I think we need to pay attention to is this lack of uh, declaring a winner. Say they didn't, because some people say they did. Is the stock market. Like nobody's talking about that. Um, Politics is directly linked to the money. You follow the money trail. Politics is right there side by side, and a lot of what's going on as far as the virus in China and the stock market and the winner of the election, um, it all coincides. So I don't watch the dramatic piece that people on the street acting crazy. They're right in line and doing exactly what everything set them up to do. They're emotionally imbalanced. They aren't you know they're not balanced. They just like Jay said. It's not even. I'm sorry. It's not even about Trump as the person. It's not about that. It's about the idea. So if someone is, they're unbalanced, you give them an idea and they take one over the other and they run with it. If it's in line with their ideals, they run with it. But I think we need to start peeling back the layers and look deeper. That it's not just about Trump or red and blue. It's about green. And that's another thing that's fueling this race or lack thereof of a projected candidate, projected winner.
Right, right. Yeah, I think I learned that working, working in corporate America for a while and just seeing, I worked for Safeway, and for a long time I worked, at the register. I was in, the stores, and then for a while I had moved to the corporate side and saw like the stuff behind it, and it's a completely different world from what you see on the retail side when you're dealing with the people. So, when you're dealing with the customers, when you're directly dealing with customers, you see the side, and everybody assumes, oh, it's based on they put this in this neighborhood because of black people, and this in this neighborhood because of white people, or whatever the case may be. When you get to that other side, you see the only color they care about is green. Like that's all that they really move towards. So yeah, that's
I
extremely
don't believe that, Dave.
accurate. You don't think so?
Nah, I think there's always a racial agenda in this country. I think the common thread that they want people to collectively agree upon is like, oh, at the end of the day, it's about green. But no, I think when any executive decisions are made in this country in particular, I think race is always a factor in every decision, every arena that there is. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, green. Um, is the color that makes everything thrive. But I think in their ability to get green, race plays a big factor. So I think they would want us to think that green is the bottom line, but that's just not my understanding of the political structure of this country.
Right. So if I can interject, that's very true, and I believe that also. But the other side of that is, the stock market stems from slavery.
Yeah,
So
that's where it came from. That's my whole point.
you know
Like
what I'm
people are like,
saying?
oh, it's
Right.
about money. Like, nah, but the stock market
Yeah.
itself is about race.
Right. Right. So it's all. That's what I'm saying. It's all intertwined. Like it's, and the other part is, bringing up the money thing. As you all know, we're moving to an all digital currency, and that's where the other part of all of the business side of this comes into play. So I don't know. I just think it's much bigger. That's why I don't watch the old Trump thing and all that. Like Mark, I didn't even hear Trump speak until we got into when he was on TV so much, and he would drop names of companies, and I would go look them up and like see where their stock was, because I was like, he's giving tips.
Yeah, yeah,
But
he was
other than that,
strategic.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. Other than that, I didn't even pay it. That I didn't pay it a lot of attention. I think if we focus more on a larger, on a bigger part of the game. See, some people are just focusing on, the end zone, but you gotta watch and see how the game is played strategically at every play,
Was that a
every
football
step.
metaphor, Patrice? Throwing football metaphors out there. That's a bet. So, yeah, man, I don't want to stay on this topic too long, but I definitely want to talk a little bit about the year 2020 is almost over, and a lot of people have remarked about how this year has been considerably harder on a lot of people with all the stuff that's going on, from the election that we just talked about to the virus hitting us, to the racial inequality becoming something that's been at the forefront and put in a lot more people's faces. It's something that's always been going on, but a lot of more people have been become privy to it. People that have been able to ignore it in the past, it's kind of been thrown more in people's faces with social media and cell phone cameras and things like that, and just putting it out there. So, was there anything specific about 2020? And we'll probably go back through this again when we do our year-end show. But since it's close to it, I just want to talk a little bit about the year and anything specific for you guys that happened that stood out as an event, negative or positive, that kind of defined the year for you. Patrice, what you think? Anything specific? I love how you be looking stuck
I
when I
hate
ask you
I hate
questions.
I hate to give it life, but almost dying was my biggest event.
Oh yeah, you went through some
Um,
medical struggles this year, right?
yeah, that was literally in the moment. As you, I'm thinking of it in the moment, like not knowing what was going to happen afterwards. That was my biggest event, and leading up to that, it's just the stillness that I really think we were blessed with this year. A lot of people say, 2020 was a wash, yada 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 yada, but I really think being still has been a blessing. Me, like Mark, I'm an introvert. Like this isn't far. I don't even have cable. This isn't far from me on a day to day, and I think being still was a blessing because it got us to get closer to family in some instances and connect with friends, or just really peel our own layers back and sit still with ourselves. But then on the other side, when I came that close to, to not making it, I I came out of it really reevaluating a lot, reevaluating entrepreneurship, reevaluating business, reevaluating how I move, um, and being more strategic about self and self care. So I think those are the things that probably the highlights of 2020 for me. And just walking in gratitude and moving in love. That's it.
Cool, cool, cool. And Mark, you have any specific situations or things that kind of define the year for you?
Well, first off, let's just say glad that you made it through everything. So, like,
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
um, specific situation. Nope, just the whole year as a whole, man. Re- like so much about everything. Like, if you didn't pay attention, if you did, you learned a lot about yourself. You learned a lot about your circle. You learned a lot about everything. Everything got revealed if you just sat back and watched it.
Uh-huh.
Everything. It was just like, wow. And reset. Man, we have a whole, like, okay, funny enough. The reason that we call the record No Dope on Sundays is Sundays was the day the hustlers used to take breaks. Because if you hustling, and you never take that break to take inventory and assess your situations, you don't know who's around you. You don't know where the danger is coming from because you haven't stopped to pay attention to anything.
Uh-huh.
So that being still, reset. Now you can, like you say, entrepreneurship. Okay, cool. Well, all of this time, my job told me I couldn't work from home, and I can.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So much, like it was such a reset for me. Like, honestly, um, I've man, 2020 was, the circumstances were quote unquote terrible, but for me, it was a great year
Yeah, yeah.
because of like my spiritual growth and
Uh-huh.
what I've been able to reveal about myself. like you say, I was being still, bro. I was in the house. I remember I got to a point and I called my mom and I was like, yo, you ever get to a point where you tired of your own shit? Like, like, damn, like it just made me change a whole lot, like a whole lot. Man, I just went deep diving. I read more in 2020 than I have in like the last 10 years. It's been great for me. Like honestly, they talking about another shutdown. Man, when this shit happened, man, for real, what this shows is who's who, what's what, and who, and if the cream is gonna rise to the top.
Yeah, yeah.
Shit, I was 2020 when the shit shut down and everybody was scrambling and panicking. I just went and bought a lot more guns.
Hey, we talked about that. Yeah, how gun ownership went up during the whole thing. Yeah, yeah.
I
So,
get all over this motherfucking house. Come in here if you want to.
stamp.
Some people buying toilet paper, smart people buying guns.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So Jay, did you have any specific moments that stand out for 2020 for you? Anything, like I said, good or bad, that kind of define 2020 for you?
Um, Not really, man. Very similar to Mark, man. It's been a year of personal growth and spiritual development. I definitely had the time to assess, like he was saying about no dope on Sundays, to assess who was in my life and why, and what I thought I wanted in my life and why, and it just forced me to question myself in depth. So I think the cliche statement is that 2020 clears your vision,
Oh yeah.
and I think that has been true to life, man. Very similar to Mark, man. I've had an excellent year, despite the world crumbling around me. But the development of myself and my family and my close friends. It's been real. It's been a beautiful experience, to be honest. Um, so yeah, I'm happy and healthy. My children are happy and healthy. Um, I had time to focus on my businesses and get everything in order. I've had the time to do it, because with the pandemic, like things have kind of slowed down in regards to like how the world is operating and functioning as far as traveling and going different places. So I've had time to reassess basically almost everything and get a clear vision and direction of what I'm trying to do. But most importantly, um, the biggest lesson for me personally has been like knowing my worth and protecting my energy and my spirit and like what Patrice was mentioning a little bit, just kind of just being grateful and appreciative of being here and being, of my sound mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah, yeah, that's dope.
Uh,
Yeah, and I'm not gonna talk too much about it because it's pretty much just echoing, what you guys said about taking time to really see everything more clearly. That was a great metaphor, like you said about the no dope on Sundays, because just taking that moment to evaluate your surroundings and get a better understanding of what's coming at you, so that you can be prepared to take it on and handle it, whatever it may be. So that's so necessary, and it shows in people that don't take that time to do that. Because even in this time, it was a lot of people who still was rushing around, moving or even being more frantic, as opposed to taking this as what I think it probably should have been is, like you guys say, the time to kind of step back and take a look at everything and see how things are moving and what you can improve on, what you can eliminate, what you can bring into your circle and things of that nature. So that's basically, what I've been doing also in this time, and uh, I've been told that I'm an extroverted introvert. So, I'm kind of a people person, but I really cherish my personal time. And so, like you guys said, this has really been, a good time for me artistically. Just thinking and planning on different moves for the future, where to take different things. It's been really good. So, I appreciate it. Some of the stuff, even some of the negative stuff that's coming, my realm of understanding, getting deeper understandings of things like this whole election cycle and what it's really said about our country, or what it's really revealed that most of us have known for years. Things like the severity of the virus, and how close it's come to a lot of us, and things like that. Is really, I try to look at everything as a learning experience, and a chance to improve, to, like I said, take what's coming at you, and set up how you can move to maneuver through life. So that's what it's really been. So I appreciate all of y'all's answer on that one, man. Really dope stuff, and I really think that
Can
um,
I add something?
sure, always.
I think you know we don't. A lot of people don't even understand this, and I hope that you guys and just people that are listening that can vibe with this. But this has really given us an opportunity to really detach ourselves from somewhat of a system to really recreate our lives and how we move and how we make money and tap into a more creative side on so many levels. Because all of the things that we thought that we needed, we didn't need. All of the things that we thought that we needed to do, we didn't need to do. And it could just kind of open the door, people will really sit back, and open all three of their eyes and not just two. They'll understand that this has really been an opportunity of creativity to really just redesign your own life.
Definitely, definitely.
Man,
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
piggyback, piggybacking off of that exact sentiment is why I pulled back from the industry. I declined everything that came to me.
Mm.
Like, nah, I don't want to do it. I want again. Once you sit back and you pay attention, you see everything. You see how people move. You see how the money move. You be like, ooh,
Yeah.
I thought you was one of the homies. I pulled back from everything, everybody, reevaluated my situation, and now I'm in a space where I create my own ecosystem within the system. I dictate when and how my stuff goes. I don't even care about what they doing no more. I be so in my own world. Like, I listen to music because I like music, but I don't care about the industry and whatever they doing.
Right.
I'm my own industry. I don't fuck what y'all doing.
Right. Stamp. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And so, since you brought that up, since we go transition into this interview, which you brought up, liking music and everything, we always ask everybody, especially people who are in the music realm, and then you also are well vested into hip hop. So we got to get your top five,
Of all time?
all time top five greatest.
Oh, this is kind of hard. Because, okay, well, the only reason I say it's hard is I believe in not cheating. So everybody use Pac and Big. That's like an automatic two. I don't even try to put them in my top five. They're in their own thing. So my personal favorite of all time is Jay-Z, of course. I mean, just for the sake of the argument, I'll say Big. 3 Stacks.
Yeah.
That's 3. Scarface.
Face.
It's 4. And my 5th, honestly, it fluctuates. I don't really care about the 5th. It's those 4 for me. Some people might say Nas. I love Nas. I love Common. Pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't know. The 5th, I just never really dwelled on. It's like those 4 for me always, but it's always J, Big, Scarface, and 3 Stacks. Always. The 5th one is just however I'm feeling at the moment.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And that's a sentiment that's shared by a lot of people. Like most of the industry people we ask, if not their whole top five, at least one or two of their top five fluctuates regularly. Because as people who are interested in music and really take it into your soul, and you really feel the music, it changes. The thing that vibes you at one moment might be different. But I mean, it's usually a solid few people who it changes
Yeah.
between. Like for me, like I'm trying to remember. Well, the ones that change for me is the fifth spot, and it's usually between like Redman or like a Meth actually. Yeah, cause so they fluctuate back and forth. But it's a couple of my spots change. But Jay, you want to go back through your top five? I know some of them, but
You know my top five.
yeah.
See if you can guess it, Dave.
I know your number one favorite rapper, and I'm gonna ask Mark. Have you ever heard of a dude from DC named Uptown XO?
That name does sound familiar.
Yeah. So that's his number one. It's Uptown XO. Then I think it's what Pop,
Mm-hmm.
and I know Face is in there, but is he
Yeah,
three?
that's in order too.
Okay.
He leaving Face out, man. Y'all
You
can't
can't
leave.
leave face out.
Yeah. Well, the only reason he's not in my top five is because he's definitely in the top 10, but just because I didn't get into like that Face music until later on. Like I was rocking with the Ghetto Boys back in the day because I'm that old. But Face's actual albums, I ain't really like
Hey
uh
man,
the
if you
fix.
go if you go back and listen to the Fix,
Yeah, that's
alone,
what I was about to say.
the Fix alone will make you put Face in your five.
Well, that's the reason
And
he's
that
in my
was
top.
late. The fix
Yeah,
was
yeah.
late.
That's where I
Like,
really got on too. That's where I really got on it too. Was like the
that
fix, but
alone
that one in the album
will put your
before.
five. Have you ever heard that man talk about heaven?
Yeah. It's
Because what
just
solidified face was the diary and
The Diary.
Untuckable.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the joints that got face his core like loyal fans is those two albums. Because what he was doing at the time is he was articulating dealing with mental health issues. And we knew nothing about that shit in the early 90s. Like we
Mhm.
just thought,
Mhm.
get a Philly blunt, get a 40, nigga, and go fight. Like that was it. So Face was like the first person that could articulate the mindset of a hood nigga who was really off the porch and like in it, but not glorifying it. Just basically like, yo, this is what my mind is dealing with while I'm out here doing all this wild ass shit. Can y'all relate? And niggas was like, yeah, I know.
On top of that, you can't make the five if you can't tell a great story. When I heard A Minute to Pray and the second, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I love this. Yeah.
And my
So we got three. What we got? We need 4 and 5.
okay.
So the clue for number 4, Dave, is that he's in Mark's top 5 too.
Three stacks.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Woo!
And then
And
the last clue is that it's a female.
Lauren Hill.
Lauren,
Correct.
Yeah.
that's a solid 5. I'm not mad at that 5 at all.
Yeah. That's a strong five. That's a strong five. Yeah.
I can't be mad at that.
Yeah. So dang, I forgot what I was. Anyway, Patrice, top 5. Who you got? We've asked you before.
Probably Jay-Z, Scarface, Tupac. I like Busta Rhymes. I like his new album.
Salute to Busta.
That new
Yeah.
album is crazy, right?
He has a plethora of classic albums.
He does.
Yeah. And probably Erykah Badu.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
She
it.
got
That's
some bars.
all.
She definitely has bars.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to get into this interview and talk to you a little bit, Mark, about your life. Now, what I like to do.
Still 5.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, I told you the five that fluctuates, but so I put Pop at number one just because of his reach and scope. He's usually just because and even though lyrically I think Big was probably stronger than it's a lot of people stronger than him, but not too many people have the reach and the scope and that like Jay was talking about that relatability to say do you feel me, and a lot of people be like hell yeah I feel you nigga. So yeah, that puts him at number one for me because I don't think it'll ever be another rapper that I have, another hip hop artist, another musical artists that really have they put him up there in the levels with Elvis's reach for white people, and just musicians as a whole, and people, some of the great,
Yeah.
some of the people that people consider the greats, and songwriting and his relatability on the level with like a Stevie or a Mike or stuff like that. So that's why he's number one for me. So it's Pop, Jay, Three Stacks is in there, and like I said, mine fluctuates regularly. So right now it's Black Thought. Just I've been vibing with that. Streams of Thought is crazy, and he's always like solid lyrically. And like I said, five is either Redman, Method Man. Sometimes it's Scarface. Sometimes it's uh, not so much anymore, but Jadakiss was strong, really strong lyrically,
Oh
But I
yeah.
haven't heard nothing from him lately that really had me like, damn. I'm trying to think of who else. It's a bunch of people. I would have to do like a top 37 and a half, with a bunch of honorable mentions. But yeah, man. So yeah, that's my solid
Okay.
top five right there. So but yeah, man, I want to go back a little bit, because music is definitely, before the time that you gain any critical acclaim, start getting heard, start getting listened to, it's definitely a labor of love, right? It's something that you're not going to stick with and really do, whether it's a hobby or a career, unless you're passionate about, just because of how much it takes to put into it. um, so where did your love for music come from? Like, where did that start?
Man, shit, my uncle, rest his soul, he turned me on to hip hop when I was like, I had to be like 5,
Mm, yeah.
and I've like in it ever since. Like to the untrained eye, I seemingly look young, but nah, I mean, like I started listening to hip like, and I was listening to Dana Dane, BDP. But my philosophy is my favorite hip hop song of all time. Uh, I started really young, so just the love of it, like I was like, damn, man, some people that really just can articulate how I be feeling, even as a young kid, or even just the style of it. Like, man, there's so much memorable shit about hip hop for me, dog. Like, watch my philosophy video, dog. KRS-One rocking the black cement Jordan 3s. That is my favorite. That's like my of all time. It's just like 88. That was the year. The Nike
Yeah,
on the back. It's so it correlates with that down to like from my fashion. I mean, the Adidas with the Run DMC, like
yeah,
that was it for me, bro. I heard it. I was like, I'm in love with
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
I'm a super fan.
Yeah, that's that's dope. Yeah, and I think everybody kind of has that moment of those visuals that they remember. I remember like,
Hold on, Dave. Where you from, Mark?
Chicago.
Are you from Chicago? Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So we was in the middle of the map, so we got everything. Like I was listening to everything at the same time. I'm like, whew, what is this great?
yeah. That's a dope cross section. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you're not, in certain areas you ain't get like, in DC we ain't really get a lot of everything. It was stuff that people ain't really listen to. I was lucky enough to have friends that was going back and forth to New York, so I would hit mixtapes.
Right.
So old, early, like, when I was in high school, hearing like stuff that DMX did before he popped, stuff that Jay Z did before he got famous and stuff like that. So it was interesting time, but DC was really, it's really heavy into go go and stuff like that. So hip hop kind of didn't really have that hold originally. I don't think. Right, Jay? I'm gonna ask our a DC, a resident DC historian.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, hip hop caught on late in DC because of the go-go culture, the strong, heavy go-go culture, and our infatuation with live instrumentation. So a lot of the songs that I heard eventually by, like he was saying, like Dana Dane and like Kumo D and a lot of early LL Cool J, I heard bands perform them first. And then when I hear the actual song on the radio, I'm like, oh, this nigga Kumo D stole the song from
Mhm.
Junkyard. Like, who is this nigga? Like,
Mhm.
nah, nigga,
It's
like
the other way around, right?
Junkyard stole Kumo D song and
Right.
made it live.
That,
I'm like, oh. But a lot of people in my age range like had that understanding. Like hip hop didn't really. It was hip hop was probably more popular in Chicago than it was in DC in the mid to late '80s. And we had stations that would play because I remember the old WOL. would play
Mm-hmm.
early hip hop, Dana Dane, Kumo D, Dougie Fresh. They would play that, but it was also like on a go go show. So you would hear that with Trouble
Mm-hmm.
Funk, with EU, with Air Raid, with Red Essence. But so they would combine, like hip hop was never. It's like on like yo, this is the new wave. It's like yo, they doing some shit up in New York too that we can blend in with our go go shit.
Right.
So it was
Wow.
never like it wasn't like a standalone like yo, hip hop is blowing up. It's like yo, hip hop got intertwined in our already existing culture, and it
Yeah.
kind of blurred the lines between. Because I thought a lot of the songs that the bands hit were original songs, and then I heard the original songs on the
Mm-hmm.
radio later.
Me
It's like,
too.
oh, these are where the songs came from.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fly though.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Jay, you took me back with that WOL. I remember
Hey,
you
because
took
you
me.
remember you used to tape record the
Yeah,
cassette. You got to press record
uh,
so you can make your own little mixtape. I
yeah.
don't know if y'all that old, but
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
What? When you used to have this shit on top of the tape and put the tape on it to dub over the shit?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time, man. I'm from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mark, did you start out rapping? You started out as a rapper, right?
Yeah. LL Cool J's I'm Bad album.
Yeah.
My uncle had my uncle had Technique 1200s in his room because at the time my uncle was producing.
Okay.
So like, I'm like 6'7", and he's at this time like hip hop is new. So when they were doing talent shows around this time, nobody in the hoods knew how to produce, but my uncle did.
Hmm.
So they would be the only crew that would perform with original beats.
Wow.
Everybody else, everybody's instrumental. So when he would leave out, I would sneak in his room. I put that out. He had his rope chain hanging up. I put it on like LL in the joint, no shirt, Kango, and I started to learn the words. And then one day he came home, and I'm in his room, same routine, but I'm flipping the words to like fit me.
Mm.
I'm like, okay, no rapper can, and I throw my name in it somewhere here, there, change up a line here, there. And he was like, oh, so you can rap? And I was like, oh shit. And then he told my mom, like, yo, I'm taking it to the studio. And like I was going to studios and I was like 7, 8, which was the worst shit of my life because I just wanted to play. And these niggas in the studio at 1 in the morning, I'm 8. I'm like dying over here.
Right.
That's how I became like I started to rap. And then I would sit under him and I would just hone that shit. And then like I just got popping because of that. Like I would go to like my cousins and them crib for like the weekend and shit. Guys would come out. It'd be the older kids, like we like 12. It'd be the dudes 16, 17 come out, be rapping for the girls. And I'm like, man, I rap better than all these suckers. So it got to the point like these dudes would be rapping. I remember this one dude named QT. He was nice too. He was rapping, had all the girls in the circle. Like I'm like, ah. My cousin them come get me. It's like, yeah, my cousin can eat you. Niggas is like, oh. I'm like, hold on, bro. Like, so I started rapping, and it's like I got good enough to beat him. Like I was like 13, he was like 17, 18, and I beat him. So it's just like, oh, okay, cool. So I just kept doing it.
Dope, dope. And um, so I know I started out rapping too and made the transition. And for me, it was because I couldn't afford the beats that I really, all the tracks that I heard that I really wanted that people had. I was broke, and they was like, "Look, I need 3,000 for this," and I'm like, "Well, I can't get it then." So I just I had a homie that was a producer. I was chilling with him one day. I had my laptop, and he had FL Studio, one of the first versions of it. And I just basically he had the CDs. Used to get the box with all the CDs in it, and I just started loading it on my computer. I didn't ask him for nothing, and went home and learned it. And so that was my trend. So how did you transition into producing?
It was high school. Um, we would we would go to people. By this time, I had gotten into some trouble in Chicago, and my mom sent me to Augusta, Georgia.
Mm.
So we would try to find people with beats that I could rap to, and we couldn't find anybody except this one dude. And you may have, if you follow me on social media, you've seen me mention him before. His name is Buck.
Okay.
Buck was the first producer that I ever met that had his own sound.
Mm.
Like when you hear his records, you're like, okay, it's really distinct. So to run into this guy at 14 years old with his own sound, like what's crazy is I was playing his music for one of my homies like a couple weeks ago, and they was like, fam, all of this shit that's coming out now sounds like his shit back in '94.
Wow.
Mm.
So
Wow.
Buck eventually took me under his wing and showed me how to produce because even what he was doing, it was a little different from what I wanted.
Mm.
Like he had his style was like a very creepy version of organized noise in '94.
Okay. Yeah.
Me, I was a little more sample driven and bass. So I remember like after a while, like once he upped his equipment, but got an MP, he got an MPC, and I went over there to record a song over one of his beats, and I paid extra studio time for him to show me how to use the MPC,
Mm.
and then I would just go over there and buy studio time from him and make my own beats after that.
Oh, okay.
So I credit Buck with being one of the most instrumental people in me transitioning to being a producer because I knew what I wanted to rap over, and
Right.
nobody could figure it out. So I was like, "Fuck it, I'll do it myself."
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. There's a certain synergy like within yourself that happens, when you making your tracks and rapping over them. Like it's a level of artistic expression that happens that I don't think people who, and I mean there's some people who are exquisite at rapping over other people's beats, and I've gotten tracks that spoke to me and been able to say back what I feel like the track was saying and really make great stuff. But I think some of the best stuff that I've done was from me from start to finish because I felt it. You put more into your own stuff. I think. So that's really dope. So I know before we started the show, you were talking about you was retired. You not spitting no more. You not.
Man, I've been stopped rapping. It's just not fun.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
It it's just is it. I got tired of it a long time ago,
Yeah.
just because I understood the level that I rapped at. There was I at you have growth.
Yeah.
You go through something where you grow. Like I'm in such a period of my life, like man, I don't have the time to sit down and think of a witty ass punchline. I'ma just tell you what it is. And no punches, bro. This is what it is.
Right.
So like I just kind of fell back for it. Producing is way more fun for me.
Mm.
It allows me to do so much.
Yeah.
Like as a rapper, you you follow your path.
Yeah.
As a producer, fam, in one day I can go from being Young Thug to having to be Jesse Reyes.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That challenge for me is fun. Like being able to jump genres and shape shift musically. That shit is fun to me.
That's dope. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and you've done it too. Like we went down the list of some of the people, in the intro that you worked with, and worked with like Kiki Palmer from I didn't even know she was doing music. That's how out of the loop I am. But yeah, and it was on the soundtrack, right?
The Kiki Palmer record was actually a record for it was her and my man John Connor, and then John started helping her co-write her album,
Okay.
and I we did a few records, and they got left on the floor, which is it happens a lot in the
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
Get mad about it. The experience was great.
Right. Right. So out of the list of all the people and all the people that you work with so far, do you have like a favorite? Do you have any piece that really stands out? Like, yo, this is the one right here. Like, this is a career defining piece or anything like that. Anything that stands out like that?
Uh, no dope on Sundays as a whole, just because that was my first time executive producing a major release.
Right.
Like, you check credits, I'm on every record.
Right. Right. I
That
saw that. Yes.
song. Even during that process, like I really had to play the executive role. It got to the point to where Sony didn't communicate with Saha, and Saha didn't communicate with Sony.
Mm.
Saha would call me, and I was the liaison. Like I remember getting a call from Doug Morris, who's like probably top three richest men in the music industry.
Mm.
Like him calling me himself personally,
Mm.
like the CEO. So that was just career defining because honestly, that gave me all of the game that I needed to break my own artist because I knew everything to do. And on top of that, I kept every relationship from having to talk to the people about clearing the samples, from going to people's estate to clear samples. I'm like literally talking to the folks estate, like, okay, cool. Let me send you some flowers so we can get this sped up. Let me take you to anything to get this sample cleared. So with that sentiment, like, okay, those same people I sampled, I could sample for my own artists, and I have that relationship with them already.
That's dope.
So I kept all of that. And I'll say the Rhapsody Nina record simply because that's one of those records that it came out as perfect as I thought about it.
Sheesh. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, those are like my two favorites. Everything I've done some crazy shit.
Right. 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 So those are your favorites, but who was the most fun to work with? Like, who did you really like enjoy, or just get a lot out of the experience of working with?
Dr. Dre, hands down.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. I saw that picture on your page of you standing with Dre, and I was trying to see if it was Photoshop, nigga, or no. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Nah, nah, nah. That was real. Yeah, man. So, my goodness, like he's a legend. Like as a producer, like it's first of all, just on some fan shit. Is he as cool as he seems like he is?
Man, probably like top three coolest black men in the world.
Stan.
I'd be like, I give it the whole Barack Obama, then Dr. Dre.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Did he drop any gems on you? Did you pick up any little wisdom from him?
Oh man, this will probably be like one of my first times ever like really talking about my relationship with Dre. Um, Social media may have seen one, two, or three photos. Me and Dre talk weekly, maybe a few times a week sometimes. He's become somewhat of a mentor for me. Uh, anytime I got questions about anything, he'll answer. I mean, the realest thing that I can honestly say about the man is I remember I called him one time and he didn't answer. And like a day or two later, he called me back and was like, "Yo, I saw your call. I meant to hit you back." Like, bro, you're a billionaire. You didn't have to call me. You're Dr. Dre. Like, you didn't have to call me back. Like,
right.
I get it. But just man, I probably learned the most from him just sitting in a room with him. It's man, he'll tell you everything that you want to know if you ask. He's that type of guy. He doesn't hold it. He don't hold the game. Like, here's one of the craziest moments. Like, so we sitting here and we talking about what made him want to produce and all of that cool shit. And then it's just like, out the blue, he just like, "Yo, what are you doing in a couple weeks?" And I'm like, "Nothing, what's up?" He was like, "I'm gonna start mixing Anderson's album. You should just fly out and sit with it. I want you to see if you can hear what I hear when I'm turning the knobs."
That's dope. That's
Wow.
cool. Yeah,
Like that,
yeah.
like that's our relationship. Or it's like cracking jokes, betting on basketball games. That's me and his relationship. But like what social media saw is just a photo.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that it was like, man, me and his thing is ongoing, bro. Like it's like shit. I actually gotta call him today.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
glad, but I've never learned so much sitting with one.
Yeah, yeah, and that's dope, man. That's crazy. So I think most people were really introduced to your sound on No Dope on Sundays, and so how did that relationship with Sci High begin? Like, how did you guys meet and get to work together?
Man, that was funny. It was Twitter, like 2010 Twitter, when you can like get on Twitter and talk to anybody.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it was something. I don't even know how we got the man email, but we got it off Twitter. We started sending him beats, and he liked the beats. He would hit us back like, "Yo, can you restructure the beat?" Cool. This was when I was with my crew, the freshmen.
Mm.
Cool, we restructured the beat. So fast forward, a guy named Mike Brinkley ends up managing us. Mike Brinkley was also managing Sci High at the time.
Okay.
Great story. we were in the office having a meeting with Brinkley, and we was about to leave. And he was like, yo, y'all should stay. Saha's on the way up here, because Brinks also had a studio in the office. We was like, all right, cool. So we sat around, kicked it. He came in. Brinks goes, yo, this is the freshman. Saha. He goes, oh shit, I got crazy records to y'all stuff. We like, cool. Can we hear him?
Right.
We go in the room. He play us like 5 records that he recorded to our beat, and we set up a listening session the next day. We did the listening session. He picked some records, and it just kind of became a thing. Then one day he called and was like, yo, I love the way that y'all really sample and put stuff together. So, I really want y'all to help my project. And this is like Black History 2 mixtape. I've been around him since like the ending of Black History 1. So we did a record. We did like a couple records on Black History 2. I was in the studio with these fools for like days, literally. There was this one record that we did, and we was like, yo, when this shit come out, it's gone. We knew it. Like, you know that one? So we leave the studio. The tape was supposed to drop in like 4 hours. We left the studio. The engineer had finished mixing it, uploaded the tape. We had been in there for 3 days. No exaggeration. Like, when I say 3, I'm talking about niggas go get food and come back.
Yeah.
3. I go home and take a nap, and I'm like, yeah, I'm about to wake up. The record gonna be out. I wake up. That one particular song was not on the tape.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck? I'm like, what's going
on? Oh, man.
Yeah.
Heartbroken. So I hadn't even talked to him for like 2 months. And then like one of his partners hit me and was like, yo, Saha, I want to meet with you tomorrow. So I'm like, all right, bet, I'll pull up. And he was like, yo, I wanted to put the song on the album, but when I sent it to Ye, he was like, I can't release it. He was like, it's a big record. He was like, he also told me, he was like, man, whoever did it made sense of your sound, stick with it. And that's when we went to start working on his Def Jam album. And we got like 5% done with that album and turned it in, and Def Jam was like,
Dang.
He asked for his papers, went through a whole long process, and after that, I think I didn't see him for like 3 to 4 months, maybe. And he called me, and he was like, come to the crib, my mom is cooking. And I went over, and he was like, yo, I think I want to start doing another album. Situation. And I'm like, all right, well, shit, let's do it. And we started working, and that was the beginning of No Dope on Sunday.
Oh, that's crazy.
We found each other for like years, literally.
Okay.
Like 6 years working together.
Yeah. So he came to know your sound and know that, it fit with what he was doing. That's dope. So,
Yeah.
and from that relationship, you actually did a couple of tracks on The Life of Pablo, Kanye's album, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, those were not production credits. Those is writing credits.
Oh, okay. So
I pulled out the pen. That was fun.
So is it like can we talk about it? Is it okay to talk about now, or is that stuff that you can't really go into?
It depends on what you're asking.
Okay, so
certain things I can't say, but
yeah, definitely. So yeah, we won't get into specifics, but I mean, what was that experience like? So did you get did you write specifically with him and sit with him and things like that with Kanye?
Typically, nah, because the way that process was working is so many people, and he just, the way he bounces around is so crazy. So I mean, I've seen him a lot, but I just didn't sit in the room, because it's like most of the time, like the whole song concepts come from like we might just be sitting in a room and having a conversation, and next thing you know, you get a song with a rough version on it, and you just got to kind of go over it, see what you would say in certain places, and bounce ideas from there, and then it comes together.
Right.
He's a I don't use this word loosely. He's a genius.
Musically, yeah, musically, I definitely agree that he's a genius. Like it's stuff that he's done for music and for hip hop, but then for music as a whole that can never be taken away. Can I ask you, and you can answer if you want to, or we can go to the next question. Like some of the stuff, the more controversial decisions that he's made, like what? How did you feel about like some of the like the MAGA hat stuff and all of that? You know,
Um,
did it change your opinion of him in any way, or?
nah, just because it's like if you've been around him, then you know who he is.
Right, right,
True definition of a free thinker. He does whatever the fuck he wants to do, even if it's an unpopular thing. It's like people like that, it take balls to do that. Do I agree with everything that he's done? Nah. Um, but on the flip side of that, it's a lot of what he's done and said that I understood perfectly,
right,
clearly.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Two things is like, prime example. I'll just give you like two of the things, and people when I said it, I was like, man, maybe I'm just crazy enough because I think a little different.
Right.
When he said slavery was a choice, I, I understood exactly what he meant. I understood it perfectly. You have a choices. Slavery, death. Most people don't choose death as an option. Secondly, it wasn't the fact that he said that, it was where he said it.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't say that in mixed company.
Right.
Because what you did was gave those folks the ammunition to tell us that we chose to be slaves, and you gave
They
those
flipped
folks
it.
the
Yeah.
ammunition to tell us to get over it because we chose it.
Right.
Now,
Right.
said that in a room full of niggas, we'd have known that that meant we gonna fight versus let these folks take us.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, yeah. Definitely, definitely. And so
like,
I'm. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
and thing like I say, I think a little different, and it might be a little radical. The what did he say? The Harriet
Uh,
Tubman didn't black people.
Yeah, yeah. I was about to say we've had discussions about that, Mark, and about how that's kind of true. Jay, didn't you? Did you say something about
I,
that?
I, I'm gonna ask a question. Do we consider ourselves free to this day?
Stamp, and that's the whole mentality, and but more specifically, how she was moving them to a different place to work for different white people, and that's true. But like you said, in the place where he said it, it wasn't something, and not even in the place where he said it, because there they were taking it, but because it was recorded and broadcast, and people had a chance to flip it and add their own thing to it. And so that's what kind of made it more of a salacious statement and reason for people to be like, oh, he's crazy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But yeah, and then him not being able to put it, in
That,
the words that it should have been put in.
that's his main problem. He needs a translator. He
Right,
needs.
right. Stein.
People, I've heard conversations and he'll say some shit at the beginning of the conversation. You will be like, "What is wrong?" And by the time the conversation is done, 2-3 hours later, you'll be like, "Oh, okay, I get it."
Okay, yeah, yeah, and that's what
He's
it's always seemed like.
he's that type of thinker. He's the type of person you can't take a sound bite and you can't take an audio clip or you can't look at just 1 to 2 tweets to understand his thought process. You might have to read his Twitter for 2 months to understand what the fuck he was really trying to say
Right, right,
because
right.
he's terrified. He's literally, there are people that think so fast, and I've heard him say this. He thinks so fast that if he doesn't say it, he probably will never say it.
Right, right. It'll be gone.
So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
said this same shit with is the same energy he said George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Exactly, exactly.
If he said it, he was like, if he'd have thought about that, he wouldn't have said it.
Right, right, right. And Jay Z kind of echoed that sentiment. Well, on the Breakfast Club when he was talking about Ye and how this is the same energy that Jesus walks and things like that came from.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, but I don't want to make this interview about him. Like shout out to Ye, but we talking to you, bro. So I would get into some more of the stuff that you've done, and I know you've probably worked with some more people, or have you? Because I know you said you've been turning down a lot of stuff and kind of going through a period of sitting back and resting. So you haven't done much in 2020?
Mm-mm. I think I've only been in the studio with 2 artists this entire year. Um, Light Skin Keisha and Big Crit.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, Big Crit is dope, man. Like actually Jay Duff put me on the Big Crit. I didn't even know who he
That
was.
put everybody on the
Yeah,
big
yeah,
crib.
it's an artist from here named Dave Duff, and he was on Big Crit early. So, what was that process like working with him? Was it just sending them beats, or did you actually get to work? Work with him?
Now, Crit, pull up. Let's sit down. Let's go to dinner. Let's run. We have real conversations and talk because that's the stuff that makes the music easy.
Right.
Like so, when we go to the studio, it's easy. We know each other. Like it ain't hard. We go in there and it's like, what do you want to do? How do you feel? Like let's talk. How was your weekend? And usually in the conversation, I'm putting the playlist together as we're talking because you're telling me exactly how you feel.
Right. Yeah.
So I might have skeletons that I started. So I'll be like, okay, how does this one make you feel? Okay, cool. I like that. So while he's writing to the joint, that's when I'm finishing the beat.
Oh.
Or I'll wait till he records the verse and I'll be like, all right, cool. Give me the session. Let's produce it now. I don't like sending artists. I at this point, unless I really have to, I'm not sending you shit. You got to pull up. We got to talk. How am I going to know what to give you if I never had a conversation?
Right. Right.
I
Right.
do write record on the wrong day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I got to pull up. We got to talk. We got to have. I sit in a house and work 30 hours making a record for somebody to send it to them. Never had a conversation with this person, so I don't have a connection with the person. Hell, I just wait 30 hours trying to hit. Not happening.
Yeah, yeah. And so I was gonna ask what differentiates between the artists that you would actually that you just send stuff to as opposed to the ones that you want to connect with. But you kind of said it's that's more the rule now. It's just the connect with them and get that vibe. Because I know a lot of just because we live in such a digital world, it's so easy to just make tracks and have your catalog and have people sit through. Oh, I pick this one, pick that one, or even send them snippets and let them pick or whatever the case may be. But I think that we've lost a lot of that artistry of actually sitting with somebody and getting the vibe of really producing an album really producing a full song as opposed to just producing the track and giving it to them and letting them do the song. They've lost the art of post production. You know what I'm saying? Of getting somebody to
Yeah.
rap over and then sitting with it and being like, okay, it needs some more hi hats right here, and maybe some strings right here. Bring it in, stuff like that. People don't really put that time into their artistry anymore. But so yeah, yeah,
Man, I came up off the grapes, man. We didn't get Thriller from Quincy sending Mike records.
right, right. Yeah.
We didn't get Blueprint from Pharrell and them sending Jay records. Nigga, they had to literally go pull up on Jay and make these beats. Like, that's when you get the greatest bodies of work. That's why everybody's stuff sounds so weird now. Because you getting beats out of an email. Artists is jumping on social media like send me some heat. And niggas doing it. I'm not
Right,
about
right.
to sing. No. So like now the few artists that I do send records to are the artists that I have a rapport because 9 times I can art because I know you. So when I'm in the studio, I have a board, and my board literally only has 4 or 5 people on it. I don't even go to the studio to just make records like how producers be building catalog. I don't do that shit. If I don't have anything specific that I'm working on, I'm not making anything. What's the point?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what is the point? Like, I'm gonna waste my time doing.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Mm-mm.
so is there anything that you worked on that hasn't dropped yet that you're excited about?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's okay. So,
2020, like we said earlier, it was the year of revelation. the year of reevaluation and the year of resetting. In that, I said it earlier, like I pulled back and started to create my own ecosystem within the system.
Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest gems that I got from Dre was "Do the Great Thing." I mean, as a producer, bro, and this is no shade to any other my fellow producers, nothing like that, man. But until you break something, did you really do it? Like, if you name your favorite producers, they broke something. Timbaland, Missy,
Yeah.
Genuine. You feel me?
Yeah.
Dre, NW, Snoop, 50,
Eminem.
Clips,
Yeah.
Khalees, Just Blaze, Kanye. Kanye broke himself.
Yeah.
Teddy Riley, God, Kool Moe Dee, Keith Sweat. Like, you gotta do the great thing. Organized Noise, Outkast. All of the great did the great thing. So at that point, that's when I was like, man, let me do the great thing, man. It's all about legacy for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Did y'all watch the Dave Chappelle joint on Letterman?
Yeah.
Yeah. His interview with Letterman. Yeah, that was dope.
And Pete, when he said he started to do it for the livelihood and nothing else, is when he became his greatest self and everything started to work. Bro, I came down and I was like, nah, this. Oh man, I started making like y'all ain't heard nothing. I'm making the best music of my life right now.
That's dope.
I have an artist named Dante Higgins, and we're about to drop a project called God Told Me to Do This. And that is coming. And that is and that happened within 1 week. Just the energy of everybody being in the same space, the same mental space at the same time. So I'm super excited about the stuff that we're doing as far as like my crew being God. Like other than that, like man, like, I'm really on slow. Like my crew will die.
Yeah.
roll with it and get rolled over, fam.
Yeah. So you talked about that feeling with the Sci-Hi record that didn't originally get placed on the mixtape. Have you ever had in any other joints or like on this level of the game had big joints that you was like, man, this the one right here, this the hit, and then it just ain't do it, or that came out and you heard it and was like, this ain't the one that I thought it was. Have you had any like that?
It happens. You hear them records, you like, damn, I could get XYZ.
Right.
That didn't work. Or it always be the ones that get left on the floor that you be like, oh, we'd have pushed the button on that one. My man got some super, super legendary, crazy records that are just sitting in the vault that I have to wait on. Like some shit that if it dropped today, it could change the scope of my entire life, but I just have to wait on it. Wait to see if it happens.
Right. And that's one of the tough things, right? It's like some of the stuff you don't even have to like, even if you wanted to put together like a compilation and put it out, it's legal stuff in there that's like, nah, you can't do that. Yeah, so yeah.
It's some woo. Jesus Christ. But oh man, the archives is I'll go so far as to say the archives is crazier than my entire discography that's free.
Wow.
The
Yeah.
archives are incredible.
That's dope though when you got that kind of a bench, when you got that kind of a, you know what I'm saying, like a team behind you that haven't
Man,
even come out yet.
I wish I wasn't on paperwork for most of this stuff so I could just
Just throw
tell
it
you something.
out. Yeah, I feel you. It's all good
Woo!
though. I'm sure we'll hear it.
No, just know I spent countless nights, weeks, months in LA for years. I just said that I work with some of everybody.
So
Shit, chilling.
So, hey, speaking of LA, real quick, I know Jay has done some work in LA, and he talked about that. And I've been out there, but only in short stints to do a few little things. But just the vibe out there, and you being from Chicago, which is not that much different from the DMV really as an area, but LA is
I
like a whole different world. You say what?
I used to live that way though. I used to live in Baltimore for
And
like
be
3
more, right? Yeah.
That's
So,
rapping.
oh, okay, yeah. So, but LA is like completely different, right? Like, what was your take of the whole scene out there? Because I know Jay paints a picture of it that's interesting and like how
Oh,
different it is, the culture and
wait,
stuff.
hold on. Paint the picture for me, and I'm gonna tell you if I agree with it.
Nah, nigga, you can't use me as a crutch. We need to know your picture.
Well, LA is weird as fuck, bro.
That's pretty much what it was.
That's pretty much it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty accurate.
Like seriously, it's weird as fuck, bro. Like that's the punchline. That shit weird, bro. Like weird shit in LA. Like you know what? And I was gonna move to LA. Like every time I get ready to move to LA, some shit happened. Like some life changing shit, and I'd be like, that was my sign, bro. Like I was gonna move last year. Like everything was set. I'm talking about, nigga, I picked out the crib. Everything was golden. Nigga Nipsey died. I was like, I'm not going out there.
Yeah, it'd be
Nope.
science, yeah.
Pop Smoke get killed. I'm going out there. Obi died. I'm not going out there. The fires I'm not going. Man,
Yeah, the fires is like,
every single time though, I got ready to make that. I wasn't. My spirit won't allow me to go there to live. That's a weird ass place. Like really, I hate it. Like to be honest, like I literally go do my work, get the hell on. I don't even hang around. I went out there one time and I had so many sessions lined up, and I got to like my third or fourth day of sessions, and people started leaving out of town for whatever reason. So I had like 4 days of free time. That was the most boring free time ever. I was like, once you go to the beach, it's a wrap. It's no real culture, gang culture. It's weird, man. It's a really weird place. That's why they call Hollywood Hollyweird. It is.
So, Mark, to your point, man, I guess the picture that I painted that they're talking about is that very much what you're saying. They didn't really have a culture per se. I'm coming from DC. Well, like Dave said, DC and Chicago, very similar environments. I had never been around so many people in a superficial setting. Because, if you're in Chicago or DC or Baltimore, like, it's real niggas all over. It's a lot of bullshit niggas, but it's easy to find, like, real niggas. You know what I'm saying? Whereas, though, in LA, I had to, like, search. So it's like, because I was just very much like you, I was out there on business. So I was just in studio. I was doing TV production. So I was just around that demographic of people. And it was weird. I was like, yo, this shit weird as fuck. But I did find like some 100 homies and down in what was that? Inglewood and like Ladera Heights. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they do exist.
You gotta go to the I go to Inglewood. I usually stay by the airport so I can be close to Inglewood.
Exactly.
I can feel like there's real people out
Inglewood is the saving grace of Hollywood.
Like I always it's a restaurant in Inglewood called Serve and Spoon. I don't even go to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles because it's so touristy and it's so fake. I go to Spoon. These niggas serve Kool-Aid in there. It's always like all of the hood LA that done been in movies and shit. They all serve and Spoon. So I be comfortable. I get out, check in with the homies. Like nigga, I'm in town. I stay out that way just because it's just like. This is the closest thing to real as I'm gonna get. Yeah. Like crazy, like people see Crenshaw and be like, I don't want to go over there. Nigga, after 2 days in LA, you have to go over there.
I remember I was at the swap meet for like 4 hours, and the person I was with was like, you ain't trying to leave yet? I'm like, nah, let's chill a little bit longer.
I went to the Marathon store, bro. I was over in that area. I found reasons to go back. Like I left. my bro called. I was like, "Oh, you want a hat? Cool, I'm doubling back." Like, you know what? I want the blue and the gold. Double back. That was the realest shit ever. And my little brother live out there, so that's dope. And he stay in the 60s. So I felt comfortable over there. I was like, I'm gonna go hang.
But if you got business though, you good, cause like if you just got sessions lined up and go get food, like you can survive. But like you said, that 4 days when you wasn't working, you was probably like, what the fuck?
I stayed in my hotel. I was like, yo, it is work because man, it's so much to that city that you like you say, like around that stuff, you really will be like, man, I don't want any of this, like none. I don't want to hang out with these people. I don't want to be around you people. No, that shit weird as hell, man. That's why I'm like, I love going out there to work with Dre because he keeps us in the studio for 13 hours a day. We don't see nothing else. So everybody in the room got to be some real niggas to be around this nigga. So he's just in the room for real niggas for 12, 13 hours. That's cool.
Stan. Hey, real quick Dre question before we get back to the interview. Are we ever going to see the Detox?
I'm not at liberty to speak about it.
Okay. All right, that's illegal. So we're running a little on time, but I do want to talk some about your the work that you've done. Like I said, you've been inspiring your followers with that I Deserve It initiative. I see you got merch with it on there. You got T-shirts and stuff with the I Deserve It. So can you talk a little bit about what that is and where it came from?
Man, it started to be kind of like fitness based at first, just because I was way bigger. I was like 270, 275. So my homies got me like into running, and then I was just like, man, in order to just, you have to make complete lifestyle changes in order to just be better, and that's like your health, your thinking. That's a huge part of it. It's just how you think, and that transcends into your health. So after workouts or runs, I would tell myself that, or like even before, to motivate myself, I would be like, yo, I deserve to treat myself good. I deserve to treat myself well. I deserve to treat myself better than I have been treating myself. So let me get my ass up and go run. Let me get my ass up and go to the gym. So that's where the initial thought came from. And then it's like, when you think about it, and it's like, they say when you have faith, you just let go and let it work. But the other thing is, faith without works is dead. So as much as I would tell myself I had to get up and work for it. So then it just became the first thing that I would post. Like I would literally wake up, roll over, grab my phone, post it, because now I'm holding myself accountable too. So now if I tell y'all this, I gotta get up and do it. Let me go get active. And it just became an everyday thing, and people started to gravitate to it. I remember at one point I stopped. I didn't post it for like days, and I started to get messages from people like, "Yo, what happened to the post?" I was looking forward. Like my mom even reached out one time and was like, "Yo, you haven't posted it. What's going on?" Like I needed that for I'm like, "Oh, okay." So then, like with the hoodies and stuff, like the first time I just tossed it on a hoodie just because I wanted a hoodie to run with, because it was getting cool out. And I remember running, and somebody stopped me, and he was like, "What do you deserve?" And I was like, "Everything." She was like, "Me too. Where can I get that?" And I was like, "Damn, this does inspire people further than, saying, just telling them something." Like the merch, like honestly, man, it wasn't even about making $1 off of it. It was about just keeping inspiration around. Like if you constantly see this message, I was wearing that hoodie for other people, not myself, because I told myself this before I left. Now, when I'm running, it might be 20, 30 people that didn't tell themselves that they deserve it and don't realize that they do until they see that hoodie.
Right.
So that's what it became. It just became a motivational piece.
That's dope. And so yeah, like I said, you've been inspiring people. I know that's how my original co-host Aisha. That's how we met through her, because she followed that, and before she I think before she connected with you, she would talk about that. That aspect of it, that I deserve it, and that mantra, and just how inspirational it was. So it's definitely, so it's dope to think that something that you was doing just for yourself was able to reach people and kind of put them in a position to do better for themselves. And speaking that, that fitness life, I know you heard Patrice was co-signing, because that's her thing. She's a personal trainer and fitness guru. She has Fru Fit, which is her fitness company. Yeah, yeah, and they do a lot in this area, in that motivating people and keeping them structured. And like you said, a lot of her stuff is about that changing that mindset. And so yeah, go ahead,
Healthy
Patrice.
living beyond the gym.
Yes. So I just want to chime in. First of all, let's say congratulations on your weight loss,
Thank you. Thank
Mark. And yeah, you said you were 270.
you. Mm-hmm.
And what are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
185.
Okay, awesome. That's almost 100 pounds. That's awesome. Congratulations. So my company is Fruitfit, but my hashtag is Healthy Living Beyond the Gym. Because so just as you just spoke about, like the first thing you did when you rolled over was, you posted, but then I'm sure over time the first thing that you did was to take care of your body every single day. You did something for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the part that is so difficult for so many people to understand. It's not even about, you know, how many reps you did and how much weight you lifted. It's about waking up every single day and saying to yourself, you know what, today I'm going to do something to show gratitude, not just to speak it, but to show gratitude. So that's one of the reasons, like right now, I'm down at the park every day since I had my health out, in July. I almost lost my leg. And so every day I get up and I'm like, even though I can't work out right now, every single day I walk. It's 45 degrees. I was freezing sitting there talking to y'all, so I had to come to my car.
Mm.
But every day do something. So I would like to get one of those sweatshirts. I think you said it says I deserve it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna check into that. I know you're gonna give all your information when
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah. Now we'll get you connected.
They be yelling at me for doing that.
I was
Don't-
on. I got up at 6 in the morning. I ran 5 miles, and then I went to the gym for about 45 minutes to an hour. It's like I gotta stay on it. Like I feel better. You feel better when you treat yourself better. Like you like
Exactly.
stay on the gym. It's not gym because now I'm like a huge advocate of mental health as well, especially in the music. Like man, we be out here losing it. Like I have like a few other like classes that I'm doing this week alone, just on like mental health and surviving in the industry, as well as being a black male, because just that's taboo in our community. We don't talk about mental health. We just,
right.
and it's crazy. No, that nigga ain't crazy. He got a real issue, bro. Like, something is really wrong with this guy.
Yeah.
So like my close friends going to therapy now. So
Yeah.
all about like every day, man. Whew.
Yeah, it's deep, man. It's deep, and
Yeah.
it's dope that because we talked on this show about the disparages with mental health in the black community, and how it's kind of been overlooked for a long time. It is coming out more now, as people progress and put more focus into it, which is a good thing. But it's not anywhere near where it needs to be, and with all the stress that's put on us these days, with, like I say, everything's been going on from 2020 to forever. It's something that we definitely need to.
That's why I share so much on my social media, as far as like I attempted suicide 3 different times.
Wow.
God had a big plan for me.
Yeah.
I know that. I'm about talking about it because I know that it may be somebody in the career right now feeling the same way that I felt at that moment. Like, bro, don't give up. Trust me. Gotta see it through. Trust, take it from somebody that's been there. You know,
Yeah.
I get quite a few messages from people that told me that they were like in that mode where they wanted to until they read what I was saying about myself. It was like, man, that was the
Yeah.
motivation pushing. So yeah, like man, I'm a huge advocate of that. I'm actually writing a book about far as like from the mental and spiritual aspect. Because also with that being said, like points of my career where I had zero faith, like literally able to say out loud, like, man, I don't believe in God. And that was like crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just very huge. Like, and bottom line, man, I know what my purpose is.
Right.
Music is my gift. And
Oh,
it, it makes sense of my purpose because, you know, without it, without the audience of thousands of people to say this stuff to try to inspire to try to motivate, my purpose. It's just a gift.
right, right. Yeah. So, do you have a title or a projected release date for the book that you're working on?
No release date, but title is A Tribe Called Quest Out. He was in past rhythm.
Okay, that's
I,
dope.
I wanted to do that because it's like everybody has a unique path, and depending on what take dictate out, you know what I'm saying, where we ultimately go. So if I what for those that are on that road to take those turns that I took, and I'm telling you this is how it ended up, you might want to go the other way.
Right, right,
I said I was going to break a book like that, and I was going to title chapter after a hip hop that I did. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
So I've already started the book. I can't say when it's done. Wait for the girl to write it.
right. Okay, cool,
Write
cool,
it.
cool. So yeah, man, I'm not gonna keep you on because we'll talk to you till tomorrow. But this has definitely been a dope discussion. I do wanna. There's two questions that I always ask every guest that I want to ask you. I always enjoy the answers that I get from them. It's always introspective. And the first one is, if you had an opportunity to talk to young Mark Byrd, if you could get in a time machine and go back in time and meet 12-year-old Mark Byrd and look him in the face and have a conversation with him. Like with everything you've gained now, all the wisdom, all the knowledge that you've accrued over the years, what would that conversation be like? What would you say to him?
Damn, that's a good question.
I know. No, I'm just
And I say it's a good question because I'm a firm believer in I wouldn't change my path at all. So I don't because anything that I tell my young self will alter what I do at that point.
right.
I guess to keep it like in that light, I would just tell myself to set more boundaries.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah,
That's a super important lesson I've learned over the last few years, actually. Like not
yeah.
like the last few years, learning about boundaries and the people that you. There's a book I have called "Who's in Your Room."
Mm,
Mm.
It's like we all have this one unique room. You know, it's regular size room, one door, one way in, one way out. But the unique part about this room is the people that you allow in can't leave out. Who's in your room?
Mm.
Are
that's
there
the
people in your room that don't need to be there? Like who has access to you that they shouldn't?
stand.
Set those boundaries because without setting those boundaries, you allow so many distractions into your life, as well as you allow so many distractions in every relationship that you have, being in friendships, being in actual relationship, being in family, because
Right.
you did dictate boundaries to people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
set
That's
boundaries.
That's a very adult thing too. That's a real like that's something that you come into because for most of your life, just because of the way people move in and out of your life, you don't even realize that you have the power to kind of restrict or dictate who has access to you. So that's something
Mhm.
that you learn over time and learn how their energy affects you and how you should let it or not let it affect you and things like that. So that's a dope one, man. Like I said, I always like the answers I get from that because a lot of people, it forces you to get kind of introspective because you're not talking to somebody. This is what you would tell yourself. So that's interesting. And the other question is, and this probably pertains to you more than probably most of the people I've asked it, just because there's so many people out there who see the music industry as first of all, there's people who love music and so who can't think of doing anything else, but also there's the people who just see that as a way out or a way to get rich or anything. It's a lot of people that want to do what you do on a, musically and in life and everything. But let's go specifically with music, with producing. Like, what kind of advice would you give? Like when young producers come to you and want to talk to you about producing, what's the best advice you could give them?
I used to always start like whenever I had to do like schools talk to kids that wanted to get into music. I used to start every conversation with, "Are you crazy enough to do this? Doing this shit is really the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
Literally doing the same thing over and over, hoping for different results. You have to be super, super strong mentally, and you gotta be. Of course, I can't say this to kids, but you, you gotta know when to say fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, you gotta know when to say fuck it, I'm gonna do my thing, and you also have to know when to say fuck it, I've had enough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know nobody that does music that hasn't quit before.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Not one single, not one. So, with those two things being said, the underlying story is stay true to yourself and do your shit. Because as long as you staying true to yourself and doing your shit, you'll never get to either one of those fucking moments. If you're strong.
Yeah.
I had my support, but once I started doing what I do, living for my livelihood, I never have another fucking moment, bro. I'm great.
That's cool.
I'm great. Right where I'm at. I'm cool. Yeah. I don't care what they think. As long as I can do what it is that I'm doing, creating my ecosystem within the system, I'll never have another fucking moment in my life.
That's dope. Yeah. 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 So have those fucking moments with the goal of not having them anymore. That's
Exactly.
dope. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
gotta have to experience it.
Yeah.
Because if you're not gonna know the boundary, you're not gonna know when to say enough is enough.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's a dope way to end it, man. Definitely, man. Hey, brother, I appreciate you. I know you a busy dude. Well, maybe not as much as I thought right now, because you say you're not doing much, but but nah, I know you're a busy dude, man. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming through and rocking with us today. Um,
And anytime, man. You good people. Your co-hosts are great people. I had a great time. I
man.
could have stayed on another hour or two.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go. No, no, no. We got.
Uh, I, I was thinking about it. I might do it tomorrow. Because the anniversary of No Dope on Sundays is tomorrow, 3 years up. So I might go live and just answer any questions that people want to know. I might even play alternate versions of the record.
Okay. Okay.
Things that, woo! If you heard the album, there's a song in there called "Trick Me" with 2 Chainz. All I'm gonna say is the original version was a Zaytoven beat, and that motherfucker went crazy.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, y'all definitely. If you don't follow Mark, he's saying get on there, cause yeah. Oh, so definitely, where can people follow you on the gram, on social media?
man. All of my social media is the same. I am Mark Byrd. It's IAMMARKBYRD. That is Twitter. That is Instagram. That is Facebook. That is my website. It's literally all the same. I
Yeah,
keep it that easy.
that's a bet. That's a bet. And Patrice want to know where she can get a hoodie from.
The web, IamMarkBird.com.
Okay, okay. And I know she ain't gonna say it, so I'm gonna put a petition in. So maybe you might, send her a headband or something with "I deserve it" on it. We might
I definitely, I get us something cool that ain't nobody else got though.
Oh,
So
okay,
I got,
cool.
I got
Alright, now we
little
talking.
things that nobody got. I I got some cool stuff over here.
Okay, cool, cool. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll make
Okay.
that happen. I'll set up a little.
And I want to tap into your fitness page too. Like I definitely want to follow that, and you know what I'm saying, live in the community as far as like that goes, because I'm passionate about that. And Dave was telling me about the music. You did some music with Big Sean.
Yeah, I went out there earlier this year, doing his creative process, worked on a couple joints. But again, very much like you were saying, uh, the stuff I worked on didn't make it. But it was a process. It was a good, it was good to be in the creative process. I was in there with him and Hit Boy, working on a lot of their joints. So yeah, it was a good experience.
That's dope, man. I mean, shit, man. Like you say, man. Most of the time, it's really about the experience. Record comes
Hmm.
out the added bonus, but the stuff
Yeah,
that the takeaways and the stuff that you learn in them rooms be because man, you know how many people want to be in that room?
yeah, and
I
it was
met,
good vibes too. So it's like I wasn't really upset at the that they got left on the table because the vibes and the creation process was genuine. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that superficial vibe like in LA that we was talking about. Like we was actually in there, talking about some real things, going over some real direction. And as the artist has one perspective, but then they got to run through the label and all the other people, and if it makes sense or not, and all of that stuff. So, but I knew that going in, so it's still a good look.
hell yeah, it is, man. That's a room that I haven't been in that I wanted to be in. So,
Definitely, definitely. Oh, I know you do the you had a thing where you would have people send you tracks and you would listen to, and it was a
yeah,
like
yeah,
if you, do you still do that?
yeah. I do it. I haven't been promoting all of that stuff. I've been cooling it. You know,
I hate you.
extra and like that, but
I feel you. I feel you. That was a kind of
I didn't.
personal question because I got some joints that I want you to hear and give me some opinions on.
Yeah, no, like totally. That's why I haven't promoted any of my products because it's just like, man, the world is before our eyes. Like you said, we transitioning to digital currency, so the money all fucked up.
Mhm.
I didn't even feel right trying to sell people shit during this time. Like,
Mm.
Mhm.
even though I'm a consumer and I was still buying shit, I didn't even feel right trying to sell people stuff, like at all.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Just
yeah,
didn't even feel good.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah,
Yeah, still active.
oh, okay, okay, cool, cool. So, like I said, I am Mark Byrd is where you can find him. Man, follow him everywhere. One of the dopest producers I've heard in a long time. You got that real, because I mean, some stuff don't even sound like music right now. Do it like it doesn't give you that feel. But everything I've heard from you has that feel, and that's why I gravitated. I reached out to you to come kick it with us a little bit because you're a genuine dude. So I appreciate you on behalf of myself, Super Dave, Patrice Fruitfit Jones, and DC's native son, Jay Son, and our esteemed guest, the one and only Grammy nominated. We gotta say that every time. Grammy nominated. I mean, yeah, Grammy nominated Mark Byrd. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate you.
All
Thank
right,
y'all for kicking it with us today. We'll be back next week with another show, more great conversations, more information, and more fun. This has been Neighborish Livecast. Peace.
Thank you.